everyone, my name's Miranda and today I'm here to review the first episode of the new show Legion, which is, I believe, the first foray for X-Men into a TV show. Like, I know we've had the movies, but this is their time getting in on all the funness of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones, and kind of inventing it into a new platform. And I was really excited to watch this, mainly because I think the X-Men are super fascinating, but we don't get to see them that much because the movies kind of suck. Some of the movies suck. A lot of the movies suck. I was really excited to see this kind of take it a little less like end of the world's blowing up, you know how it gets all crazy in movies, and setting it a bit smaller in a TV series. This TV series is about a man named David who has grown up his whole life hearing voices, and he is now in a mental hospital for schizophrenia because everyone thinks he is schizophrenic since he hears voices and they tell him to do things or he does things because he wants to get rid of them. Something I was confused about was what time this took place in. Like, I couldn't really tell because, like, it just, which I liked, it had that, like, era of timeless. Like, the way they were dressed was very, like, 1970s, 1980s, I guess, kind of, but then, like, I don't remember hearing anything specific about, like, what time they were in. I do know that he is Charles Xavier's son, but I don't think Charles Xavier will be playing a role in this since he is such a big part in the movies. It's kind of hard to take someone that's so, you know, well known as Professor X and people know him as Patrick Stewart and kind of trying to cast someone, I guess, unless you cast someone younger, but then James McAvoy plays him when he's younger. So I feel like there's really no way you could bring Professor X into this. But I think David is a really cool choice. I do really like his powers. I think he is a telekinetic, like Jean Grey is what I was getting kind of, because he kind of had the same, you know, he can't control it like she can, and I like seeing him struggle with it because a lot of times with the X-Men movies and with superhero movies you see these people that like they struggle like once and then they're fine with it, so it was cool to see someone who really had these powerful powers but didn't have a good reign on them, you know, like it was kind of like Simon in Carry On, how he had so much power but like it never was helpful because he couldn't control it. So it's kind of like when you are the most powerful mutant in the world but you can't control your powers, like you can't use them the way you want, you can't use them when you want, when you're in danger, are they really helpful at all? And so far it's been no, because they get him in a lot of trouble and almost kill him. I think the way this show is shot is probably my favorite thing about it because the way they show his powers is so cool. Like, I love the scene when he was upset. I don't remember what he was upset about, but it was the flashback right before he tried to kill himself and his powers just let loose and like every single thing in the kitchen started floating and flying around, and I just loved how it looked because it looked so visually stunning but also so real. Like, it didn't really look that CGI, and I loved when like it was flying and the knife flew by his face, so like he got like kind of cut, and I think that's showing you really what his powers are. Like, he's so powerful but they turn on him sometimes, you know, like he can't control them. So like he could have been killed with that if the knife had gotten him in a different area. So I think that was a really good example of like how detrimental his powers can be to himself. So I think it's exciting. I'm intrigued to learn more about David, but at the same time watching it, I was kind of disappointed just because I feel like, okay, another white male outsider loner main character, like groundbreaking. I haven't seen this 50 million times. Like, I feel like because it's a TV show and because, you know, X-Men has always kind of been about Professor X or Logan as like the main character, you know, even though there's a bunch of them, I think we can all agree that the white guys are the main characters in X-Men usually. I think it would have been really cool if we could have gotten to see a woman in the main role, or even a woman of color or a man of color, or just something different. I think it would have added more to it because it would have added to the isolation of the time, you know, in that like, okay, not only do you have these powers, but you're a minority, so like people already kind of don't want to help you, and now you're having this on top of it. And I just think it would have been really, it could have sent a really cool message and explored a side of the X-Men that we haven't seen before, because like I said, it's usually straight white guys that we get. So like, nothing against that, it's just that I think this could have been a really cool opportunity to do something different and something new. It would have been really exciting. Like, that was my main qualm watching it. I was just like, this guy is cool, but like, it's just, I've seen it all before. I think what really turned me off was his relationship with the new girl that showed up who's also a mutant, just because it felt very creepy and very male gaze-esque. Like, just watching it, the way she was framed and the way she was always shot was like we were watching from David's point of view, which I mean makes sense because he's the main character, but it was just had a very like leering kind of quality to it for me that was making me cringe. Like when they were in the group therapy and he was just staring at her and he was like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was just like, whoa buddy, like slow down, you've known her for 2 it was creepy to me in a way that I think if we had this from a different point of view, specifically a female point of view, that creepiness and that cringiness wouldn't have been there. So it was just kind of annoying to me because it was like, okay, we do have this cool female character, but she's being reduced for most of the story into just his love interest and kind of just like his object of desire, which I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because it's like their relationship to me was super weird and moved super fast, you know? Like, by the end of the episode, she was already like, I love you, and he was like, that's cool. Like, he wasn't saying it back, and I was just like, oh dear, this is gonna present problems, isn't it? But also, she was like, okay, I can be your girlfriend, but don't touch me. And he was like, yeah, I got that. So, like, it had that cute moment when they were looking out at the city, and he, like, made it so their reflections were kissing. I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like, I like that. But then, when she was leaving, he tried to kiss her, and I was like, she specifically said, do not touch her. Like, respect boundaries, man. I just didn't like that, and I don't know, I'm probably like being too, you know, like, oh, I don't like, I can see where people are like, it's just a TV show, but to me, it's things that we've seen before that don't necessarily need to be there, you know? It's just tired and it's cliched and I'm kind of sick of watching it, honestly, where a guy can just go after what he wants without really any consequences. I mean, there were consequences, but you know, like, she still loved him at the end. So to me, it's just something that I would like to see change, and I think it could have been different, you know, because they could have cast someone other than David as the main character. David is really intriguing, though. I want to learn more about him. I mean, this episode was interesting because the way it was shot, it was constantly like hard trying to figure out what the current timeline was, because we had him in the mental hospital, we had him growing up, we had him the incident where he tried to kill himself, we had him at his sister's after he got out, we had him at this government facility, and then we had him getting rescued. So I think him getting rescued is the current one where it's going to branch off from that, and that was really, really interesting now that we have this kind of band of rogues. I know the lady in charge was like, oh, they want to use us, they want to get us, and then the government dude was like, they're bad people that were trying to get her, Sid, and I was just like, so who's the good guy? Like, I feel like maybe there isn't a good guy in this situation and David's just gonna have to go, like, out on his own and figure it out. But I think it's intriguing because, again, I don't know what time period this is. Like, I'm guessing it looks 80s. That's why I get confused. Like, it doesn't look like modern day, and I can't think of anyone using a cell phone. Maybe they did, but, like, that would help figuring out, like, in the timeline, you know? Or is it a different timeline? Because, like, Charles doesn't have a son, and I don't know. It's confusing, and I liked it kind of that it was confusing. Like, it could have been frustrating, but I was more like, you know what, I'm sure we'll figure it out. David is an unreliable narrator, which, if you know anything about me, I love unreliable narrators. I think they are the shit, because it is so cool, because you can't trust anything about them, and I think it's so fascinating. And we saw that when he was having the flashback to getting outside the hospital as Sid, and he said he saw that government guy there, but then it turned out it wasn't that government guy, it was the girl. And then we thought he was being chased, but then it turned out it was a memory, and just all this stuff that you can't really trust what you're seeing or what you're hearing, and I absolutely love that. I think it's fantastic and so, so fascinating. I really hope we get to explore Sid's powers more too, because that's super intense, and I mean, it definitely affects the way she lives her life because she can't touch anyone or else she'll switch bodies with them. And I want to see more to what happened at the mental hospital, because I think I'm very confused about that, how like people just got stuck in their rooms after they switched. I mean, I think, what was her name? Lenny? I think she described it really good in that she said like when they switched, Sid was like basically in a body that had so much power that she didn't really know how to use, but she knew how to like activate powers, you know what I mean? Because she has her own powers. So she kind of indirectly caused that, but like David's power was the one fueling it. So I think it's really interesting. I'm really excited to see more of the season, and I hope it can at least build some stronger characters outside of David, I hope, and work on the relationship between David and Sid, because right now it's just a little icky to me. So if you haven't seen Legion, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below. I thought it was visually stunning, and the storyline is pretty interesting so far. I mean, there were just so many moments where I was watching and I was like, that must have been so amazing to shoot, because just the way it looked was so amazing, and it reminded me a lot of Stranger Things, you know, like even the theme music was like like Stranger Things, and I was like, why does everyone use the Stranger Things music? And just like the way, you know, that shot, that like it doesn't look too CGI. It looks like realness, like they actually put someone in a wall and got them stuck in there. Like, it's really, really cool. Definitely feel free to leave your theories, your thoughts, correct me on anything that I got wrong, because, you know, I just went into it. I didn't look up any backstory or anything like that. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel down below to be told to make all sorts of new videos. And also let me know if you'd like to see a video for every episode of Legion, or if you would just want a finale wrap up, because I know there's only 8 episodes, so that's not too hard to keep up on. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!